96.1 FM.
News from around the world, the big stories and what's behind them, politics, business, sports, and international news. This is news from around the world. This is news from around the world.
And now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu has joined other world leaders for the closing ceremony of the new Global Financing Pact Summit in France. Recall that the president had departed Nigeria for Paris on Tuesday for the summit. He used the opportunity of the event to review and sign a new global financial pact that places vulnerable countries on a priority list for support and investment following the devastating impact of climate change, the energy crisis, and the COVID-19 pandemic. The president arrived at the Palais Brongniart in Paris, accompanied by his aide-de-camp Noureddine Youssouf. Tinubu was received by the French Minister of Foreign Affairs and Europe, Catherine Colonna. He is also expected to hold bilateral meetings with various countries, including officials of France, US, and Switzerland, to discuss possible ways of attracting foreign direct investment. Still from the presidency, President Bola Tinubu said Nigeria is ready to do business and receive investments from foreign partners. He premised this on the ongoing reforms such as the removal of fuel subsidy and the streamlining of exchange rate, moves he made and promised to sustain for a more competitive economy that attracts foreign direct investment. Therefore, he urged investors to take advantage of the ensuing opportunities. Tinubu disclosed this while receiving President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of African Export-Import Bank, Afrexim, Professor Benedict Oroma, and President of European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, Odile Renard Basso. The President's Special Advisor on Special Duties, Communication and Strategy, Dele Alake, disclosed this in a statement titled, "We are ready for business, prepared to welcome investors to Nigeria." And now let's have you know that the Presidential Election Petitions Court, that is the PEPC, has admitted certified copies of academic and work records of President Bola Tinubu tendered by the People's Democratic Party and its candidate, Atiku Abubakar, reading different names that he registered with the Independent National Electoral Commission, that is INEC. The documents which were tendered today include a BSc certificate from Chicago State University, an NYSC discharge certificate, and a Mobile Nigeria Oil PLC certificate of service. The PDP had brought the documents through their subpoenaed witness, Mike Iba Esquire, who noted that the documents were purportedly obtained by Tinubu but bore the name Bola Tinubu. Led in evidence by PDP counsel Chris Uche, the witness also tendered forms EC13 and EC9 nomination forms and the letters written to INEC as attachments. The Acting Inspector General of Police, that is IGP Olukayode Egbetokun, today met with members of the police management team at the Goodluck Jonathan Peacekeeping Hall, Force Headquarters, Abuja. Addressing the senior officers, Egbetokun stressed on police proactivity to preventing rather than reacting to criminal activities in the country. The IG also promised improved welfare for public officers, while reiterating his commitment to improved interagency collaboration between the police and other security agencies. Those present at the IG conference are senior police officers from the ranks of Deputy Inspectors General of Police, Assistant Inspectors General of Police, and Commissioners of Police, amongst others. Meanwhile, the Acting Inspector General of Police, that is IGP Kayode Egbetokun, said the present police administration will set specialized combat squad that will deal with criminal elements across the nation. The acting IGP Egbetokun made this known while addressing strategic managers at the maiden edition of the Strategic Conference in Abuja. According to the IGP, a robust human and technical intelligence gathering assets will be deployed across the country to ease the operational activities of the combat squad. He added that the Nigeria Police Force, that is the NPF, would embark on better policing and charge strategic managers to be vanguard of peace, uphold the sanctity of the legal framework with a view to standardizing the policing profession. IGP Egbetokun said his administration would prioritize on enhancing the Nigeria Police training curriculum with special focus on attitudinal and behavioral changes for new recruits, as well as reorientation programs for serving officers in order to further refine the perception of their officers to concepts of human rights, rule of law, and citizen-focused policing. The IGP, while answering questions from journalists, stated that the police will overcome challenges that confront the nation and called on members of the public to support the war against crime and criminality in Nigeria. Also in the news, the All Progressives Congress, that is the APC in Plateau, has kicked against Governor Caleb Mutfwang's request to the State House of Assembly for an approval to acquire a 15 billion naira loan. Mutfwang's communication was read by the Assembly Speaker Moses Sule during plenary, which was the first sitting of the 10th Assembly. Mutfwang explained that the loan would be used to clear backlog of civil servant salary arrears and acquire farm inputs for farmers. The approval was granted by lawmakers at the plenary, but the APC, in a statement by its spokesperson Sylvanus Namang, said that as a critical stakeholder in the Plateau project, they seriously objected to the loan because the governor did not follow due process. He said that PDP's two-third majority in the Plateau State House of Assembly was not a license for recklessness and arbitrariness, which, if left unchecked, Plateau would be worse for many turbulent days ahead. And now to matters that concern the NCC. The Nigerian Communications Commission, that is the NCC, has directed telecoms operators to invest in robust infrastructure, employ state-of-the-art security measures, and conduct regular audits to identify vulnerabilities and address them promptly. Speaking at the second quarter of the NCC Industry Consumer Advisory Forum, that is the ICAF, held in Lagos, the Executive Vice Chairman of the Commission, Professor Umar Dambata, said Nigeria has witnessed remarkable growth in the digital economy, revolutionizing the way transactions are done, with the telecom sector playing a pivotal role in enabling the transformation. Danbatta, however, noted that these advancements has come with new challenges, one of which is the rising tide of e-fraud and cybersecurity concerns. Addressing concerns about personal data protection, Professor Danbatta highlighted the importance of Nigeria's National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy 2020 to 2030, NDEPS. The Nigeria's Debt Management Office has warned that the federal government's total public debt may hit 81.64 trillion naira this year. The figure was arrived at based on the 2022 debt sustainability analysis. According to the Debt Office, the increase in total public debt to GDP to 37.1% in 2023 from 23.4% as of September 2022 was due to the inclusion of an estimated 8.8 trillion naira 2023 debt, the government's Ways and Means debt of over 23 trillion naira, and an estimated promissory notes issuance of over 2 trillion in the debt stock. As of December 2022, Nigeria's total public debt was 46.25 trillion naira, which means there might be an increase of 76.52% this year. Joining us on the news this evening is a development economist, Ayobami Oyalowo. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening
Thank
to you,
for
sir.
having me.
That's right.
Yeah.
What can we deduce from the above? Where we state what it was stated that as of December 2022, Nigeria's total public debt was 46.25 trillion naira, which means there might be an increase of 76.52% this year.
Yeah, so what's the question?
What can we deduce from this analysis so far?
Well, I think sometimes also we must understand that we need to stop the fear mongering. Yes, our debt stock is high. But normally, if you're going to do an analysis, you're going to always look at the GDP ratio. Our debt to GDP ratio is still within the correct threshold of about 30% thereabout.
Okay.
So it's not as bad as it's been written. However, where the problem lies is our debt to revenue ratio. So what we need to do now as a country is to find ways of generating newer revenue aside what we've been doing in the past.
Okay.
So the new government must sit down and devise means of generating revenue. And we must also always tell ourselves that debt is not as bad as it's been written. Every country has debt. Every country lives on debt. What the problem must not be is the fact that whenever you are in debt, it must be for projects, for policies, and for programs that directly impact on the lives of the people.
All right, Mr. Ayobami, let me also take your attention to the fact that the DMO have in the past come out to say that we are within the borrowing threshold and there's no cause for alarm. So why the sudden change?
Well, I don't know. I don't speak for the BMO. I don't know what they are saying, and I really don't want to get myself involved in whatever the DMO is saying. I am saying, as per all the economic indices, we are not in trouble. The only challenge, like I identified, is that our revenue stream must grow so that we can meet our obligations as and at when due.
Okay.
So if we have enough revenue to meet our obligations and to do other not necessary things, then we'll be in good condition. Therefore, the government must do a few things, which is one, like I've said, grow our revenue base, look for other new streams of revenue, and find ways to also cut down in cost of governance. So those are the things that we must look at rather than the fear mongering.
Well, it seems as though the federal government has to generate at least a revenue from 10.49 trillion naira to 15.5 trillion naira. And do you think that this can be achieved by the government at a time like this?
Of course, it can be achieved. It can be achieved. What we need to do is, first and foremost, some of the good things that has been done is to remove unnecessary encumbrance, such as the subsidy for petroleum and some other unnecessary wastages that we've been embarking upon, which has helped to balloon our debt stock. Secondly, I understand and I know that the past government and this new government, this current government has taken it upon themselves to continue where the last one stopped, which is to ensure that we are able to grow our gas businesses all over. So I know there will be the AKK gas pipeline and some other ones to connect us to Europe, so that we can be able to compete with Russia and ensure that we can also sell gas to those that actually need it. And if we're able to, because I understand that we have a higher deposit of gas than we even have of petrol, of crude oil. So if we're able to do that and also stop unnecessary wastage, and I can quickly give me time, I can explain in about a minute that look, we do too much of importation, which means too much capital flight out of the country. So if we can bring most of this, that means ensure they create jobs in Nigeria, build their industries and their factories in Nigeria, you will create more revenue base. You will reduce the wastages that you embark upon in terms of foreign exchange that you waste in importing these finished goods. So there are a lot of things the government can do, and I believe they are working behind the scene to bring out programs that grow our revenue base.
That's right.
We will earn more than we've been earning.
That's
and
right.
We will waste less on borrowing in terms of paying for our debt and whatever it is.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ayobami Oyalowo, for being a part of this conversation this evening.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
That's right. You are still listening to the World News at 6 and Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja after the break. And now let's talk some foreign news. On the foreign scene, a Russian diplomat has been living near Australia's parliament in a row over the site where Russia wants to build its new embassy. The lone protest follows Australia's decision last week to tear up the lease granted in 2008, citing national security grounds. Russia says it will challenge the move in the High Court. When announcing new laws aimed at terminating the lease, Anthony Albanese said intelligence agencies had given very clear security advice. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has described the Australian decision as another example of Russophobic hysteria that is now going on within the countries of the collective West. It is unclear on what constitutional grounds Russia will challenge the laws, but it has sought an injunction to deter and defer any moves to reclaim the site until the legal challenge is decided. Still on the foreign scene, Hollywood film director James Cameron, who directed the 1997 movie Titanic, has told newsmen that a team who built the submersible, which exploded with the loss of 5 lives, had cut corners. OceanGate, the parent company of the Titan sub, didn't get certified because they knew they wouldn't pass. Cameron has completed 33 submersible dives to the Titanic wreck. Titan was built from carbon fiber and titanium. In 2012, Cameron used a different technology for the Deep Sea Challenger submersible expedition in the Pacific, which took him down to 10,912 meters, the deepest known oceanic trench. The Titanic wreck is 3,810 meters down. Cameron said that when he learned the sub had lost both its navigation and communication at the same time, he immediately suspected a disaster. And now let's talk sports. Former Manchester United and Super Eagles striker Odion Ighalo has advised his compatriot Victor Osimhen to join the Red Devils, just as another former United striker, Dimitriv Berbatov, urged the club to prioritize the Nigerian among the summer targets. After a successful season with Napoli, in which his goals helped them win the Scudetto after 33 years, Osimhen has been linked with a move away from the club, and teams like United, Chelsea and PSG have identified him as an option to beef up their strike force ahead of next season. Osimhen was the top scorer in the last Serie A season with 26 goals and 5 assists in 32 appearances. With the 24-year-old on Erik ten Hag's transfer target list, Igalo, who also had a short spell with the Devils in 2020, urged Osimhen to play for Manchester United. And now to wrap up, here are the top stories. Tribunal admits Tinubu's Chicago Varsity NYC certificates. We told you Tinubu joins world leaders for closing of Paris summit. IGP meets DIGs, AIGs, CPs. And on the foreign scene, Russian diplomat squats near Australian Parliament in Embassy Lees Road. And in the world of sports, Igalo Berbatov wants Osimhen at United. And that is a wrap on the world news at 6. The news was edited and compiled by Alice Ennis and produced by Udwak